What's up everyone, it's Adam from FWCI. Welcome to World Wrestling Straya after a week off. We've got a huge Aussie wrestler watch this week, tons of AEW news, some NXT stuff as well. Plus we're going to have a look at the WWE draft that kicked off today. This is World Wrestling Straya, episode 44. Thanks for joining me on this one today, everyone. Appreciate the support. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel as well so you don't miss all future episodes. We're going to start off with the Aussie Wrestler Watch every week as we always do, starting with Rhea Ripley. Last week, Rhea won the Women's Tag Team Championships with her partner, Nikki ASH. More about that later on. She then went on to accompany Nikki to the ring on SmackDown in her match with Natalya as well. I think that's Rhea's first SmackDown appearance, so that was interesting to see. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox would then arrive in the tank and fire the first shot at Rhea and Nikki ASH. So looks like we're getting Nikki and Rhea versus Shotzi and Tegan Nox in the future. Rhea was also the first Aussie to be drafted in the draft, but we'll talk more about that in later on. Jonah was on the Chris Van Vliet show this week talking about his WWE release. I mean, there wasn't really a great deal that could be said. I mean, we're all caught off guard with it. Jonah was caught off guard with his release. It's still a really good interview. He talks about his podcast and a few other things that he's got going on as well, so I highly recommend checking out Chris Van Vliet's interview with Jonah, formerly known as Bronson Reed, and I'm still hanging for my Bronson Reed action figures to come in the post. I think there's like a big delay with post from the US to Australia at the moment, so I don't know when that one's going to come, but hopefully Ringside comes through the goods. Toni Storm hasn't really done a great deal since being drafted to SmackDown or signed by SmackDown, whatever it was. I don't know why they didn't just keep her on NXT until the draft came up, to be completely honest, but one thing that did happen with her this week is she got engaged to her partner, so congratulations Toni Storm on that one. Hopefully we get to see more Toni Storm on the main roster. Let's get her back as a heel. Let's get something interesting going with this character, because she's a great talent. This week on NXT, we caught up with the Indy Hartwell Dexter Lumis honeymoon. This is a follow-up to the wedding that was 2 weeks ago. I like that they gave us a bit of a gap in the middle as well, because this segment was so goofy, so funny. The scene with Johnny Gargano sneaking into their hotel room to make sure they had protection was hilarious. A little bit risque, I feel like. I almost feel like since Vince has taken over NXT, they've been allowed to push the envelope a little bit more, like with, content and things like that, because we're getting condom jokes. We had Andre Chase screaming that was bullshit as he walked through somebody else's shot. Like, weird stuff going on NXT, but the honeymoon segment was fantastic. Dexter Lumis with the most awkward thumbs up of all time is definitely a sight to see. Grayson Waller challenged Roddy Strong for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. They had their match this week. It was a great match for Grayson Waller. I think this was a match designed to be his opportunity to show that he can go in there and have a good proper match, which he's been doing on 205 Live for like a couple of months. So I don't know what he has to prove at this point, but he definitely held his own against Roddy Strong. His chest was all beat up at the end, but Grayson Waller took Roddy Strong for like a 10-minute match, eventually losing to a knockout knee strike, which was fantastic as well. But Grayson Waller in a title match on NXT 2.0, that's alright with me. So last week, Shane Thorne was in a dark match on SmackDown, and he came out dressed like the Crocodile Dundee kind of character that I think he used over in Perth when he was out in Australia, but this was such a bizarre thing to see, especially since he's been Slapjack, so hopefully this means Slapjack is a thing of the past, and we can get Shane Thorne in some kind of interesting, new, meaningful role on TV. Zion Quinn squashed Oney Lorcan on NXT this week. He looked pretty impressive. He does have a little bit of learning to still do, and I don't know, he just needs to get a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more seasoned, I think, but he definitely looks the part. He's in ridiculous shape. He's a great looking guy, so Vince McMahon must be very interested to see what Zion Quinn can do in the future. It's a dreadful name though. I don't know what they're going to do about that name, but are they just going to call him Zion moving forward? Is that somehow better? I don't think it is. And this weekend, Adam Brooks, friend of the show, is challenging for the Southern Territory Wrestling Championship in a triple threat match against Chris Target and Julian Ward. If he wins the match, he'll become a double title holder here in Australia with the MCW Championship as well. So good luck, Brooksy. Hopefully you get the dub. Thank you, Bad News Barrett. Yes, it is time for the news, and yeah, there's a few things to cover this week, starting with Owen Hart signing with AEW. How does that work? The Owen Hart Foundation and Martha Hart have come to an agreement with AEW where they can license and merchandise things with Owen Hart's likeness to it. So we know that we're going to get Owen Hart action figures. Owen Hart's going to be playable in the AEW video game. There's going to be t-shirts, merch. Who knows what else is going on, but this is a huge get for AEW. Clearly, Martha Hart has never had a problem with the world of wrestling. She just didn't want to do business with WWE, and fair enough, I guess. I mean, the impression of Martha Hart since the documentary on the Dark Side of the Ring, I think, has changed, and people have seen a little bit more of what's going on, you know, in her world and why she makes the decisions she does. But the good news to this is we're getting a bunch of Owen Hart merch, so that's something to get excited about. On next week's AEW Dynamite, there is going to be a casino ladder match, so the winner of this match gets a World Championship opportunity against Kenny Omega. The match is going to have Pac, Orange Cassidy, Andrade El Idolo, Jon Moxley, Lance Archer, and Matt Hardy, ladder match veteran, in there, I see. So that should be an interesting match on AEW Dynamite next week, which is their 2-year anniversary. It does not feel like it's been that long, but here we are. Speaking of AEW's show next week, Bobby Fish is going to be challenging the newly crowned AEW TNT champion Sammy Guevara. He defeated Miro for the championship this week, so this is going to be a interesting pickup. I don't know what they really see in Bobby Fish. I feel like he's a bit injury prone. He's not that great of a promo. He's all right in the ring. When Undisputed Era sort of folded, he just kind of got lost in the shuffle, worse than anybody else. So Bobby Fish to AEW, a very curious get. Let's see what they can do with it. So the WWE draft started today on SmackDown. I'm going to go through all of the picks from the first round and the rules that they set up in the Yeah Nahs later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. WWE also announced the King of the Ring tournament is coming back, as well as the Queen's Crown tournament, which is a kind of a cool name. I actually kind of dig that female twist on the tournament idea. So we're going to have 2 tournaments, one for the lads, one for the ladies. That's going to happen over the next few weeks across Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, the entire internet wants Xavier Woods to get the win. He's been so vocal for so many years about wanting to be the King of the Ring. I feel like he feels that way because he's like, well, realistically, am I ever going to become WWE champion? No, I'd rather set my sights on something that's, you know, I can genuinely strive for, that's still, you know, a huge deal. So hopefully Xavier gets the win in that tournament. It's weird that they're doing this just before the draft will take effect, which again we'll cover later on. But yeah, if you like your King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournament ideas, then that's coming to WWE TV next week. On NXT this week, we're just going to run through some of the results here. Elektra Lopez defeated B-Fab in a no disqualification match to open up NXT. Elektra Lopez looked fantastic. I'm glad that she changed up her ring attire from last week. She's still a little bit inexperienced in some ways. You can tell she's still, again, just getting those repetitions up, which I guess is going to be a pretty regular sort of thing to say about the new NXT, but this was a fun little match, and Elektra Lopez is awesome. I'm a huge fan. Zion Quinn defeated Oni Lorcan in a one-on-one match. I mentioned this match earlier. It was a very brief affair, and Zion Quinn looked fantastic. MSK came out to cut a bit of a weird promo. I don't know, it was a little bit lame, to be honest, but they would be confronted by the other tag team, so I guess this is the new NXT tag team division. We've got MSK, the Grizzled Young Veterans, Trick Williams, and Mello, is it me you're looking for? As well as Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen, is that his name? I don't really care for Briggs and Jensen. Carmelo Hayes, I mean, Mello, is it me you're looking for? That guy, He's a star. He's going to be on the main roster within 12 months, I think. He is already awesome in this heel role. He was great as a babyface. That guy's got something very, very special. So keen to see what happens with Carmelo Hayes. Melo in the future. We also have Boa versus Andre Chase, with Boa getting a pretty decisive win. Andre Chase was not happy with this at all. But Joe Gacy was back to his safe space gimmick. So he was in the middle of the ring talking about they thought he was cancelled, but he wasn't, which is kind of either a genius spin to put on this, or those reports that WWE was not happy with. There was a Fox News story about this character that apparently WWE didn't like. I guess that's not true. I don't know if we're getting properly worked at the moment, or if this is just a fortunate coincidence that those rumors started to fly around. But interesting character, this Joe Gacy thing. Definitely more interesting than his previous iteration, so curious to see where this one goes. Roddy Strong, flanked by Diamond Mine, defeated Grayson Waller for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. We had a new segment. This was a weird segment as well. This is called Lashing Out with Lash Legend. Now, Lash Legend's real name is Anriel Howard. She was drafted 24th overall in the 2019 WNBA draft by the Seattle Storm, I think they're called. She mentions this in the segment, but she set the NCAA tournament record and Texas A&M single game record for 27 rebounds in a single game. So she obviously doesn't mind getting physical when she needs to, but this was kind of like some weird Tyra Banks, Oprah kind of thing, but it's almost like TMZ because she's just sitting there shit talking like all the other people on the roster in a very kind of televised kind of way. It was very highly edited. She was interesting. I like it. I hope they give her some really hilarious dialogue. They need to get some good wrestling conscious comedy writers on the staff to give her just some awesome things to say, and I think this character could do well. But interesting debut for Lash Legend. Kyle O'Reilly defeated Ridge Holland. After the match, Pete Dunne would come out, and so would Von Wagner, who would help clear the ring. I feel a little bit bad for Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland for having to act scared of Von Wagner. That guy just doesn't seem to have any intensity to him. He has a good look, but his personality seems kind of doughy, I guess. There's just nothing really tangible there. Everything's a bit kind of spongy with him at the moment. So, and I don't think Kyle O'Reilly is a good person to teach, or Pete Dunne, or Ridge Holland for that matter. I don't think he's going to benefit from working with any of those guys in that aspect. He needs to start working with Tommaso Ciampa or something like that. Somebody who's great at being intense, because Von Wagner, great look, but he needs to find that intensity switch and learn how to flick it on when he's on camera. The NXT Women's Championship closed the show with Frankie Monet challenging Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel got the win, but the real story was afterwards. Well, the real story was Raquel's top nearly fell off. But after the match, it was the Toxic Attraction faction. God, that rhymes too much. Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane. They came out and attacked Frankie Monet and Jessica Meir and Robert Stone. Then they went and attacked Raquel Gonzalez. Wade Barrett with the hilarious line. He's like, "This reminds me of Nexus." Which is a great shout out. It reminded me more of The Shield, but Barrett was hilarious in that. He was funny this whole show. Sorry to go off track, but Wade Barrett and Beth Phoenix is one of my favorite commentary duos, not just currently, but I think, of all time. Not favorite of all time, but they're up there kind of thing. They're so entertaining, so much fun to watch. But yeah, big beatdown afterwards. Mandy Rose holding the NXT Women's Championship above her head. So looks like we're going to see Raquel going up against the faction of heels, which is a good fit for her. She can start throwing these women around, and who knows? Hopefully this leads to Mandy Rose winning the NXT Women's Championship, though, because I like Mandy Rose. I kind of wish she kept the blonde, Marilyn Monroe kind of look. I don't think the dark hair does much for her. But fantastic main event, great episode of NXT 2.0. And on AEW Dynamite, the opening match, Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy with CM Punk on commentary. Who the hell would have ever thought I'd be saying that sentence? CM Punk did commentary for Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy. That's how you know AEW's doing some amazing things. Just, you say sentences and you realize, what did I just say? This is a reality we're living in. But Cole with the convincing win over Jungle Boy, which, the correct result. What do you want to say? Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson defeated Dante Martin and Matt Sydal in a tag team match, only because Lee Johnson tagged himself in and won the match. After the match, Arn Anderson ripped into Cody Rhodes about not listening and being too compassionate for Arn in a previous match, and being too compassionate for his opponents, and not being ready and prepared and not listening properly. And then he left the ring with Lee Johnson. So Arn had a weird promo as well. He's like, Cody, if you were in a car and somebody pulled the door open and said, give me your wheels, you'd say, sure, here you go. But I would pull that Glock out and blow his brains out because I'm Arn fucking Anderson. And I was like, oh my God. Like, Arn, chill, mate, chill. Daniel Tosh, better watch out, because Arn Anderson is on the freaking warpath. Jon Moxley, Darby Allin, and Eddie Kingston defeated Bear Country and Anthony Green in a very quick 6-man tag match. This was just a display for the baby faces, basically. So this show was in Rochester, New York, which is where Brody Lee was supposed to debut. So they really treated this like a Brody Lee re-debut. They had a big 16-man tag match. It was the Dark Order and Orange Cassidy versus, members of the Hardy Family Office, which, by the way, they've got 8 people in their crew, the Hardy Family Office. That is ridiculous. But it was a great match. There's a whole bit with the dissension between the Dark Order, and Brody Lee's wife came out, told him to get back in the ring. -1 was there. In the end, it was the Dark Order picking up the win with some really cool offense at the end. And this was a really, really heartfelt moment. A lot of love for Brody Lee in the crowd and in the locker room as well. So rest in peace to Brody Lee. I can't say that enough. And this match definitely would have done him well. The fact that CM Punk was on commentary, he kind of said, like, I think that's what Brody Lee would have wanted. They're both huge sports fans, and I'm sure they had a very close relationship over that kind of thing as well. So great to hear Punk on commentary during this match. Ty Conti and Anna Jay defeated the Bunny and Penelope Ford in a tag match. The match was okay. I mean, it wasn't anything over the top special, but AEW is starting to find ways to have secondary feuds for the women that aren't, based on the championship, or aren't based on, guys being involved or anything like that. Like this whole thing with Penelope Ford and Anna Jay and Ty Conti especially, which, again, Penelope Ford and Ty Conti, they're two up-and-coming AEW female wrestlers that I think have got an unbelievable amount of potential and some huge years ahead of them. So this match was, again, the match was fine for where it was on the show and what it needed to be, but I give AEW props for getting some more feuds going that don't center around the women's championship or don't center around boyfriends or, that kind of gummy, stereotypical female wrestling storyline that we've always seen in the last, 10, 15 years. And in the main event, Sammy Guevara would defeat Miro to win the TNT championship. A bit of a surprising outcome. I thought Miro would have it a bit longer, but with that being said, he's had it for a long time. Like 180 days, like 4 months or something like that. So maybe it's time to give somebody else a run with that championship. Wonder what this is going to mean for Miro moving forward. But the match was fantastic, and great moment for Sammy Guevara.
Well, Nakamura has swiped the crown again. Setting Corbin.
And it's time for Better Than Baron Corbin. This is the segment where we have a look at what's going on with old mate Baron Corbin, because we love to hate him, and then we have a look at who's had a better week than him. So this week, Baron got a sneaky assisted win over Kevin Owens from Madcap... the fuck's his name? Madcap something. Madcap Moss. And these, I don't know why, but this gimmick's kind of winning me over, to be honest. They just look like two roided up hipsters that are kind of bullies. Like, it's like they're two bullies with anger problems that really want to be cool, if that makes sense. And it's just weird. It's bizarre. It is a little bit entertaining though, but it was a hell of a lot more entertaining than that. MJF's promo on Darby Allin this week. Holy shit. We finally got a bit more of that ruthless MJF. I say that like he wasn't just calling Brian Pillman Jr.'s mother Methany like 2 weeks ago, but this promo was particularly, nasty towards Darby Allin, talking about how Darby is straight edge because years ago his uncle was drunk with Darby in the car and had an accident and his uncle died. I'm guessing that's a legit thing because everybody seemed to take that very seriously. So MJF definitely back in fine form. Glad to see there's no more dissension between him and Wardlow. I don't think MJF versus Wardlow needs to happen yet. I think we can wait another, 6 months, 12 months even before they pull the trigger on that. So MJF ripping into Darby Allin this week was fantastic. What did he call him? A school shooter, school shooter mime on a skateboard routine. Which is that's a hell of a line. With that being said, I also want to point out how CM Punk was ripping into the Elite's theme music, talking about how much it sucks. That was also a fantastic moment. That was better than Baron Corbin, but MJF is this week's better than Baron Corbin.
You gotta be joking me!
So it's time for this week's You Gotta Be Joking Me. So Nikki ASH teaming with Rhea Ripley. That's a You Gotta Be Joking Me for me. I think this is so... Rhea Ripley can bounce back from anything, but I feel like she should still be ascending at the moment, not being used as a way to help somebody else, get some notoriety or acceptance with the fans or whatever. The Nikki ASH character... I don't mind Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley together, but the Nikki ASH character is just doing my head in, to be completely honest. I don't know what the deal with this is. It's like she's got brain damage or something. It is a very, very kind of gimmick. I'm not a fan at all. Rhea Ripley really deserves better than this. She should really be in the championship picture at the moment, or at least hunting that championship, not in a sympathetic tag team with somebody who's acting like a 8-year-old child, to be completely honest. That's what it comes down to. So Nikki Cross, or Nikki ASH, I should say, you gotta be joking me.
You gotta be joking me!
But I can't have it You Gotta Be Joking Me without following it up with a little bit of positivity, so it's time for this week's You Beauty.
You beauty! You beauty!
So this week's You Beauty is just an acknowledgement of the current Aussie class on NXT, which is Grayson Waller, Zion Quinn, Duke Hudson, Persia Pirotta, and Indy Hartwell. So thank you for doing us proud, guys. We're looking forward to seeing what happens next, and that's why it's this week's You Beauty.
You fucking beauty.
Fellas, what is going on? It is the Loose Ledge, Adam Brooks here, and you are watching World Wrestling Straya. I love that name. Straya.
And it's time for Yeah Nah. This is the segment where you guys ask me questions down in the comments and I decide is it more of a yeah or more of a nah. This week though, we got a little bit of a special Yeah Nah because we just had the WWE draft begin today on SmackDown. So I'm going to go through the picks and give you a yeah nah on whether I think it's a good move for these people to go where they went or stay where they stayed. Also, the winner of the hashtag yeah nah TikTok Karrion Cross Scarlet Prize Pack is Cameron Collins. Cameron, I'll reach out to you and get your details so I can send you these figures. I will be doing more figure giveaways in the future, but with some of the postal issues we've got at the moment, I don't want to announce anything just yet, because I don't really know what's happening. So stay tuned for that. We will have more figure giveaways to get you guys engaged, but feel free to ask me any questions, leave any wrestling-related comments down in the comments as well. But WWE announced the rules today. They said half of the picks will be done on SmackDown, half will be done on Raw. There were 16 picks on SmackDown, so I presume that means 16 picks on Raw. But then they just say anybody who's remaining will be a free agent and can sign anywhere they please, which is a very convenient thing for them to do, but I don't understand how everybody wouldn't just go and try and be on SmackDown, because Raw sucks. The draft changes don't come into effect until the 22nd of October, so it's like 3 weeks away, the night after Crown Jewel. I hate when they do that, when they draft someone but say, oh, it doesn't take effect until a certain time. It takes a bit of the excitement out of it, to be completely honest. Like, I don't want to wait for my draft picks 3 weeks to change brands. Like, it's just kind of dumb. So let's get started with the first pick. SmackDown selects WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Yeah, nah. Yeah. Roman's doing awesome on SmackDown. I don't see any reason that they should move him over to Raw. Keep him on there. Raw then with the second pick would pick up the WWE World Champion Big E. Yeah, nah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's the WWE champion, so I guess he has to go to Raw at this point. Like, just, for the purpose of having a champion on each show. Kind of a silly thing to do to have him cash in on the Raw guy and then leave it ambiguous about what roster he's actually on at that point. I don't know what to think about it. The third pick was SmackDown choosing the Raw Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair. Yeah, nah. I didn't see why Charlotte needs to be on Raw. I think this makes the next 3 weeks kind of, I don't know, who's going to beat Charlotte for the Women's Championship. It kind of takes away a bit of the surprise and the moment of it, because everyone's kind of expecting it to happen. So Charlotte going to SmackDown, I don't really have a problem with the pick, but the circumstances around it give it a no. Raw selects Bianca Belair. Yeah, this is good because we need to get her away from Becky Lynch now. Hopefully Bianca can get some kind of revenge on Becky Lynch before she leaves SmackDown, or unless they're going to leave this open-ended for some future, rivalries to pop up in the Royal Rumble or a Survivor Series or in this Queen's Crown tournament that's coming up. But Bianca Belair, yes, definitely happy she's going to Raw. I think it's going to be a good change of scenery for her. With the fifth pick, SmackDown selects Drew McIntyre. In an unprecedented move, neither. Drew McIntyre does nothing for me. He's in unbelievable shape, but he's missing that missing piece of the puzzle. He needs to find whatever it is he needs to do to get some believability and intensity going. Everything he does, he looks like a guy playing a pro wrestler or somebody trying to act a certain way, not that convincingly. So Drew McIntyre moving to SmackDown, I don't really care. With that being said, I'm definitely not looking forward to the inevitable Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss feud that's going to be in our future. With the sixth pick, Raw selects the tag team champions from Raw, Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. I guess they're the Raw tag team champions, but that's a smart pick. If you can get Riddle and Orton in one pick, you always take it. SmackDown has selected Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, so they're now moving away from Big E from Raw over to SmackDown with a new change of scenery. Why? Why do this? I guess they want Big E to be on his own and do his own thing, but it just feels very forced that they're trying to keep them apart. And it's because of their creative lack of foresight when they, start doing these title changes and stuff like that. With the eighth pick, Raw has selected Edge. Edge is a big time player. Raw is definitely, it seems like the bigger stage, just, reputation wise. And plus, a bigger show means it will maybe rely on Edge even less, so he can be used for some more special kind of appearances. Not part-time or anything like that, but he doesn't have to have a match every week, but they can find something else for him to do during that 3 hours. With the ninth pick, SmackDown selects Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. Again, not excited for the upcoming Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre feud. So nah. With the 10th pick, Raw has selected the Women's Tag Team Champions, Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. The fact that Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss went before Rhea Ripley in this draft shows how much Nikki ASH is affecting Rhea Ripley's value within WWE. Obviously, this is all the storyline, but come on, Rhea Ripley should have been up there, around the Bianca Belair mark, pick 4 or 5. But instead, they got selected to stay on Raw, I guess. It's an inter-brand championship anyway, so I don't know what to make of that. But Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross going to Raw, I think we need to get Rhea on SmackDown. It's really got nothing to do with Nikki or the championships. I just want to get her onto SmackDown where I think the creative is a little bit better, and of course, that's where Toni Storm is. Let's get that little rivalry going again. With the 11th pick, SmackDown selected Hit Row from NXT. Sure. I love Isaiah Swerve Scott. The other two, we've only really seen them have a couple of matches, but they seemed pretty good, so nothing that stands out that says they're not ready to go up to the main roster. B-Fab might end up having to maybe take a step back into more of a managerial role, because she was okay, but she definitely has a little bit more to learn. But this was a good pick for SmackDown. I'm interested to see Hit Row on the blue brand. With the 12th pick, Raw selects Keith Lee. Hell nah. Why would Keith Lee staying on Raw be a good thing? They have done absolutely nothing with that character, with that talent. I do not like this at all. I'd rather see him go back to NXT or over to SmackDown than stay on Raw. With the 13th pick, SmackDown selects Naomi. What's that, Billy Kay?
Naomi, no friends. Hey? No friends.
Yeah, so I guess this is going to continue the Naomi versus Sonya Deville feud that seems to be building up, but yeah, nah. Neither, to be honest. Naomi's like Drew McIntyre. She just does nothing for me. I just don't get engaged when she's on the screen. With the 14th pick, Raw selected Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, nah. Only because I think SmackDown is Rey Mysterio's home. They should have kept him on the Blue brand. I know he spent a lot of time on Raw, but I always associate Rey Mysterio with SmackDown. And yeah, I don't really see what's going on. They need tag teams on Raw badly. There is not a great deal of tag teams happening over on that brand. So it looks like a tag team championship reign in the future for the Mysterios. With the 15th pick, SmackDown selected Jeff Hardy. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get Jeff Hardy in the ring with Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. That is a feud that I've heard Solomonster talking about. If you've ever heard of the Solomonster Sounds Off Wrestling podcast, it's fantastic. Go check it out. But yeah, give me Jeff Hardy versus Roman Reigns Universal Championship feud. And with the final pick, Raw selected Austin Theory from NXT. Yeah, I kind of wish he went to SmackDown. I just feel like that's a bit of a better fit for him. I hope they don't lose his playfulness and goofiness that he's really started to get quite good at on NXT, but at the end of the day, he's young, he's in insanely good shape as well. He's absolutely jacked, so who knows what the future holds for Austin Theory, but it's very exciting, so yeah, I'll definitely give it a yeah. And that's going to wrap it up this week. Thank you for sticking with me, everybody. Go check out NBA Straya if you like your NBA news and everything like that. The season's coming up. Jimmy's got you covered. He's just doing weekly episodes at the moment, but he usually goes and does like 4 or 5 a week. So if you want NBA news and you like your Aussie side of it, go check out that. Go check out the Wrestling with Figs podcast with Chris and James as well. You notice I'm rocking the merch right here. They talk about collecting wrestling figures and other collectibles from an Aussie perspective. So if you're in the Aussie collecting community, go check out that podcast as well. Don't forget to leave a comment, anything wrestling related, and I'll answer it on the next episode. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.